Hello everyone and welcome back to Ignite 2018. We are on the show floor with Doug Davis of Quadrotech. And what brings you down to the very hot and very sticky Orlando?
Oh yeah, I know. Believe me, the weather's. I'm from Canada, so this type of weather definitely don't thrive in very well. But you know, for us, it's all about what people are adopting, what people are getting. So every year, Office 365 grows. It gets better. There's no services. There's new workloads, and quite frankly, this year it's all about Teams. So just people have been really gravitating towards Teams. People that have been on Slack forever and been thinking about moving in there, and also people that really wanted a good communication service within Office 365. So they've been, you know, maybe struggle a little bit with Yammer, struggle a little bit with Office 365 groups. So what we focus on at Quadrotech is really getting people to maximize their investment in Office 365. So getting to Office 365 and then using it and really focusing on what they're the most interested in. And like I said, this year it's been all about Teams. Teams requests and everything's been really high.
Yeah. And Teams has been blowing up. Microsoft, 130 million commercial seats, over somewhere north of that for Office 365. So a large group of people have access to it. Not everyone's obviously adopted it yet, but it's getting there. And so what are the trends you're seeing with Teams and people adopting it? Are you seeing any struggles, any high points, low points?
Well, there's definitely the Skype for Business versus Teams problem, right? So Microsoft, you know, they know they have a big challenge, and you know they're very good at this, but at the same time it always causes some confusion as well. So they made some statements that Teams was going to be a replacement for Skype for Business, but at the same time they didn't really give a fantastic roadmap of how that was going to work. So customers needed guidance on how. First of all, they weren't sure how functional Teams was going to be, and kudos to Microsoft, they really added the functionality to Teams to make it really powerful very quickly. So what they needed to do is have some guidance on how to get off Skype for Business or tone down their use of Skype for Business and accelerate their Teams business. And you know, we offer them tools to be able to see what their activity is on Skype, see what their activity is on Teams, and start making that kind of cross-pollination between those two. But definitely also just understanding what's available in Teams and some of the confusion around when functionality was going to be in there as well. Once they make that decision to go to Teams, then it's how do they communicate to their end users, how do they identify those groups that are quickly adopting Teams. So like any technology, there's teams that just gravitate towards it. And they just go crazy and they start using it. And what you want to do is you want to encourage those groups to continue doing it and use some of the momentum and joy that they have of using that workload and get other people to get onto it as well. There are people that just will not want to move off of let's say that the probably two biggest ones that people are moving off of are, from a competitive perspective, is Slack, and from an internal perspective is Skype for Business. You need to be able to identify those people that are reluctant to get onto those new workloads, and then be able to move them up there. So a lot of different things, but quite frankly, you know, it's about managing that very rapid adoption of Teams for those people that do adopt it, and then trying to get those folks that are a little bit slow in adopting and getting them on the bandwagon and sort of showing what the advantage of the workload is from that perspective.
Now here's a question for you. Microsoft very happily called me up about 2 weeks ago and they said, Brad, Skype for Business Online and Teams have reached feature parity.
Okay.
Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
With the PSTN thing, it's starting to get there. So I mean, I think in some ways Teams has surpassed Skype for Business.
Okay.
So definitely from the perspective of how you can create tabs and add functionality to Skype. So add functionality to Teams. But I would say that the biggest thing that was holding people back was the PSTN. So the ability to have calls within Teams, have a calling system. That's not rolled out globally yet.
Gotcha.
So if you're in, you know, like Western Europe, if you're in North America, you're probably fine. If you're in Latin America, if you're in Asia, if you're in some of those jurisdictions that don't have PSTN yet, you're still going to have to be on Skype for Business. People don't really understand that the biggest probably value add to an organization is that phone connectivity. So the ability to IM and have, you know, internal video conferences or even have meetings with external people, that's nice. But where it really starts paying dividends is when you can start turning your phone system over to Teams, and that's still being rolled out. So I would say that there's still probably a bit of a challenge, but it's happening very quickly. So I think by early next year, I think you could absolutely say that there is feature parity. And I would say that there are some things in Teams, like the ability to add bots to Teams, the ability to add tabs, wikis, files, way to share files, has surpassed what Skype for Business ever did in the past. So I would even say that you have to kind of take the good with the bad, but that PSTN thing would be the only thing holding people back at this point. And once that's done for the geographies that you're in, I don't see any reason why anybody would use Skype for Business moving forward.
Interesting, and that's really good insight, to be honest, because there's a lot of people out there who are just juggling and we're on Skype for Business, why would we move? But knowing that these features are either there or even surpass what they have today is a big deal. It really is.
Absolutely. And one of the things that was holding people back was the fact that you would have Skype meetings with external people, and guest access wasn't in Teams until recently, I think like 2 or 3 months ago. But we use that all. So for example, using our, we're an ISV, we deal with customers all the time. We're always on demos, and those demos we used to run on Skype. And now we've converted them over to Teams. And Skype, we always had a few challenges. Team guest access really works well. And definitely from that perspective, that was one of those things that were holding people back onto Skype. They said, well, it's always easy to have a Skype meeting. You can send somebody a Skype invite and away you go. And that didn't work in Teams. When they did enable it in Teams, it worked really well, it worked really efficiently. And it's interesting. I always wonder, why people are using the WebExes or the Zooms of the world, because Teams meetings are actually really effective. The screen sharing is really effective. The video conferencing works really well. I think it's probably one of the services that Microsoft has put a lot of effort into, and considering how young it is, how well and how integrated and how adopted it's been from within the customer base, just speaks to the power of that particular workload.
And I know we've been hitting on Teams a lot, but I want to hit on it a little bit more.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Mostly because one of the higher traffic posts on Petri in the last actually 6 months was when Microsoft announced, "Hey, Skype for Business, it's kind of going away."
Yeah.
And there was like a real record scratch moment there because people were freaking out.
Yeah.
And so, what do you say to those people that are looking at this kind of like as a doomsday scenario, thinking, "How am I ever going to migrate my 5,000 client workload over?"
Well, the nice thing about it is that you don't have to do it all in one slot, right? You can do it incrementally. So you can have people getting into Teams from the perspective of, just internal IMing, just internal thing. And also, what is nice is that you can easily convert back between the two. So it isn't something Microsoft treats all workloads as equal. So you can still be on Yammer, you can still be in Office 365 groups, you can still be on Skype for Business, you can still be on Teams. They're not deprecating any of the functionality, so you can go as fast or as slow as you need to go. Definitely from the perspective, I think it depends on the internal drivers for an organization. If they really need to get off Skype for Business because they don't want to do multiple layers of training, they want to have people that connect from one side to another, then they want to accelerate going to Teams as fast as they can. But if you want to, you could ignore Teams and stay on Skype for Business for as long as you want. Well, as long as it's supported, But it's not like other organizations where they'll turn something off and turn something on right away. I just think that the depth and the power and the ease of use and the fact that it's built on newer technology, I just don't see why you would delay going to Teams. But what's nice about it is that you can take your own pace to do it. But I think if you introduce some of the new functionality, the way that you can share files and work on files collectively, it's like I said, just think of our own organization, it's completely transformed how we do event planning and how we do group planning and how we do project management because of that capability. I think that just speaks to you should go as fast as you can.
Fascinating.
No, I don't know if I answered that totally.
No, that really does, because we get that question a lot. It comes in either through email or whatever. It's like, hey, what do we do? Yeah. And you can search for resources all you want, but articles out there don't really dive into the nuts and bolts of what is going to go on as you make that transition. One, because it's still fairly new for a lot of people.
Exactly, yeah.
And so, transitioning here, what brings Quadrotech to Ignite? Why are you guys here?
I mean, we live and breathe by our customer base, right? So there's two things that happen here. One, all of our customers are here. We have thousands of customers worldwide, and they usually come here and they want to talk to us and be able to understand what our roadmap looks like. And naturally, we're trying to talk to more partners and more customers as we can. It is the premier show where I think it's probably, we go to 2 or 3 shows per year. I can say that this year our booth has been off the hook. I mean, I think from our perspective, this morning was probably the fastest start. And so that means there's two things there. We're bringing compelling stories to our customer base and to our potential customers. We're talking about what they want to do, talking about migrating to Office 365, talking about managing Office 365, and we're doing it in a way that they're really easy for them to consume that information. And I think just the numbers that you have here, the engagement that the people have, the expectations of what they want to do, the way you can meet with Microsoft, it's just amazing. The way you can meet with partners. It's a show that packages everything together. So from our perspective, it's a maximizing all the efforts that we put together for a year to come together, and I think every year is getting stronger and better. And I love, I was somebody that used to love going to the Link show and to the Exchange, the MEC show, and to the SharePoint show, and I really like the vitality of those individual shows. So I was kind of wondering, like, when they brought it all together, but really when they have brought it all together, it also talks to their cohesive approach to bringing all these services together into one, and then it means that we can talk to all these people. At one particular show. So from that perspective, it just maximizes both our ability to talk to everybody, and as well allows us to plan. This is really almost like our end of year from a product perspective, because all the things that we talked about last year at Ignite, we launched now, and now we're going to get a whole bunch of new ideas and launch that next year. So for us, it's really kind of a pivotal date for us and pivotal show.
Any hints about where you guys are headed?
Well, you'll definitely see a lot more Office 365. I don't want to, I would say that actually we are working on some really cool stuff. Stay tuned for the end of this year. I mean, Quadrotech has gone from strength to strength. We have more resources. We have more people thinking about these things. Here at this particular show, we're showing off our Autopilot product, which is our management product, which we had just sort of announced last year. Now it's into production. Our Cloud Commander. So if you think about some of our strong tools that we launched last year, this year really what we're doing is getting the last bits of our product roadmap together for an end-of-year launch of some pretty interesting integrated products, and then moving beyond that, and just making sure that we have a really good approach to giving our customers a single view into everything they need to do from an Office 365 perspective.
Looking forward to it. And if people do want to find out more, in a couple months, where should they find that at?
Well, absolutely, our website, so quadrotech-it.com, and there's lots of links up there, and I think that's the best place to go.
Well, awesome.
Or come to the booth today if you're here right now.
And what's your booth number?
Oh no, I'm not sure what our booth number is. 1037. 1037.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go. Well, we very much appreciate you stopping by.
It was really a lot of
and
fun.
We're going to be looking forward to see what's coming down that Office 365 pipeline, because 130 million-ish subscribers today, and it's only going to go north.
Yeah, something new every month, so it's perfect.
Great. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.